Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Al Jazeera reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made a secret visit to the United Arab Emirates for a meeting with President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Netanyahu's office described the trip as a historic breakthrough in relations between the two nations, though an exact date was not disclosed, and the UAE has not yet confirmed the visit. This secret meeting reportedly took place during a period of intense regional conflict, referred to as the U.S.-Israel War on Iran, which saw Iranian missile and drone attacks on the UAE and other Arab countries after U.S. and Israeli bombings began in late February. A fragile ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. has been in place since April 8, 2026. The announcement highlights expanding security cooperation between Israel and the Gulf state against Iran, with the U.S. ambassador to Israel noting Israel's deployment of Iron Dome air defense batteries and personnel to the UAE. Relations between Israel and the UAE have gradually strengthened since the U.S. brokered Abraham Accords in 2020, which normalized ties but were condemned by Palestinian leaders as a stab in the back. The Herald notes that since then, Israel has launched a genocidal war on the Gaza Strip, as well as nearly daily deadly raids and attacks in the occupied West Bank and Lebanon. Furthermore, Netanyahu has been evading an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court over war crimes charges in Gaza since November 2024. The U.S. Senate, as reported by UPI, voted down a resolution on Wednesday that aimed to direct President Donald Trump to withdraw U.S. forces from the Iran conflict. This marks the seventh such attempt by Democrats to limit the president's war powers. The resolution failed by a narrow 49-50 vote, with Republican Senators Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins crossing party lines to support it, while Democratic Senator John Fetterman voted against. The debate centered on the 1973 War Powers Act, which mandates presidential notification to Congress within 48 hours of deploying forces and limits unilateral action to 60 days without a formal declaration of war. Critics argue that the 60-day period, which began on March 2 following U.S. attacks on Iran, has expired despite an April 7 ceasefire. However, the administration and some Republicans contend the ceasefire halted the count. Senators Kaine and Barrasso offered opposing views on whether hostilities have truly ceased. Al Jazeera reports that Nikolay Mladenov, the top diplomat overseeing the U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza for IS President Donald Trump's International Board of Peace, has stated that Hamas must disarm, but could still have a political role in post-war Gaza. Speaking at a news conference in Jerusalem, Mladenov stressed that Hamas's disarmament is a not-negotiable condition, which has currently paralyzed the phased ceasefire deal. The first phase involved exchanging Israeli captives for Palestinian detainees. However, the second phase, envisioning Hamas handing over weapons, Israeli withdrawal, and Gaza's rebuilding, remains stalled. 7 months into the ceasefire, Israeli forces have killed at least 856 Palestinians and control over 50% of Gaza. Hamas blames Israel for truce violations, while humanitarian aid access remains insufficient. An ACLED report indicates a 35% increase in Israeli attacks in April compared to March, post-truce with Iran. A UN inquiry last year found Israel's war on Gaza amounted to genocide. CBS News reports that U.S. lawmakers are pushing for stricter regulations on China's acquisition of American farmland, citing national security concerns. This bipartisan effort coincides with President Trump's highly anticipated summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Expected to focus on trade and security, Representative John Mladenov, who chairs the Select Committee on China, has introduced legislation to close dangerous loopholes that allow foreign adversaries to purchase land near U.S. military and critical infrastructure sites. While Chinese investments constitute less than 1% of foreign-held U.S. agricultural land, lawmakers emphasize the strategic importance of properties near sensitive locations. A Trump administration official confirmed that tracking foreign land ownership remains a priority. However, critics like Scott Lincecum of the Cato Institute argue that congressional concerns are overblown given the small aggregate ownership, highlighting that such restrictions impact American property rights. Reports from the USDA and GAO indicate significant data gaps, making a full picture of foreign land ownership difficult to ascertain. States like North Dakota and Utah have already moved to block China-linked land sales near military bases. Princess Kate, the Princess of Wales, made her first official overseas trip since announcing her cancer diagnosis, visiting Reggio Emilia, Italy, on Wednesday. The city is renowned for its child-centered approach to early childhood education, an area in which the princess has a keen interest. She was met by cheering crowds, with a local paper noting her popularity in Italy, drawing comparisons to Princess Diana. An aide described the visit as a significant moment for the princess following her recovery. Kate launched the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood in 2021, which investigates the impact of adult issues on early childhood development. During her two-day visit, she plans to meet with parents, children, and educators to observe the Reggio Emilia approach in action. This trip follows her announcement in March 2024 of her diagnosis and subsequent remission in January 2025. UPI reported that the visit is part of a broader global tour to examine different education models. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.